I work as a coroner, and I always do a special ritual with all my corpses in bed. I'm not a sick person, you just have to hear me out. When you work at the county morgue, people often make crude jokes about you having fetishes. They'd say things like, "Why'd you get into this line of work? You into corpses?" Wink wink. But in reality, I liked being around the bodies. People complain and complain and complain until they're dead. I've never once heard a corpse complain. Veronica Sharp never complained either. This was of course not her real name, I just started calling her that. Veronica was brought in labeled Jane Doe. What I did definitely wasn't legal, but when I saw her I couldn't help it. She was to be my muse. When they brought her in, it was during a hurricane, and she shouldn't have been outside. We see a lot of gruesome injuries here, but it isn't often that the person on the stretcher is only partially decapitated. Usually, their heads are either all the way on or all the way off. Veronica's spinal cord was severed by a stop sign that flew unbound from its post in the strong winds. They found her sitting upright against the side of some bushes. When she was brought in, the winds were still howling at ridiculous speeds. Even this far below ground, I listened to them in awe. I sat at my desk in quiet contemplation until the scream of the wind was interrupted by the loud thump of a gurney. The driver haphazardly plowed her through the swinging doors of the morgue with disrespectful abandon. Veronica was someone's daughter. She could be someone's mother. She deserved some respect. "You'll like this one, Scott," my coworker David said, wheeling the gurney in. He grabbed her by a fist of sodden hair and made her heed note in ridiculous pantomime. The gruesome soundtrack outside only added to the macabre scene, for in that moment, between the wailing wind, thunder shook the entire building. The walls trembled, sending a few metal pans rattling from one of the shelves to the floor. I spat angrily at him to get the fuck out. He just laughed at my look of disgust as he left. I'm not very imposing. From the front, you couldn't tell. She was perfect, a beautiful creature. I don't mean it in that way. I'm not sick, I told you. I mean that she must have been beautiful in life, because she certainly remained that way in death. Her skin was still pink and supple, her lips red, her eyelids lightly closed. She looked like she was sleeping. There was little blood in her wound. I figured she must have been out in the rain for a while, washing a good portion of it away. You could see right through her neck and down into her throat like in a science documentary. That's why I took her home with me. I shouldn't be even telling you this. I could go to jail. I started calling Jane Doe Veronica Sharp in the car. She made an exquisite corpse. A beautiful woman should have a beautiful name. She was just perfect, even with her head lolling forward and back with each touch of the brakes as I drove her home. When we arrived at my house, I laid her in bed. Beneath the gash in the back of her neck, I nested a handmade travel pillow. I snapped her picture over and over again as she appeared to rest there. I took them from every angle I could, careful to ensure her wound would not be seen. Once I was satisfied, I removed the pillow and grabbed another of a different style, a couch throw pillow this time. She looked so comfortable. She was just perfect. It was hard to remember that she was dead. She wasn't just sleeping. Pillows are one of the easiest things there are to sew. My guest room is full of them right now. I made every single one. I need to get rid of them. I'm not sick. I'm an entrepreneur. I made too many of these pillows. It's hard to sell pillows on TikTok. They don't want you to say how comfortable they are. People want you to show them how comfortable it is. And how would you do that without a good model?